The gentleman from Texas, 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Today we will examine the fifth or sixth iteration of the same failed foreclosure mitigation plan offered by the Obama administration and Congress. It is a policy that still throws mud on the wall to see what sticks. It's very expensive mud. It belongs to someone else, and by the way, none of it is sticking. We still have one of the highest default rates in our nation's history. By the administration's own admission, the HAMP and HARP program have now restructured 169,000 permanent modifications out of their stated goal of 3 to 4 million. Most studies and empirical evidence show that at least 50% of those who have their mortgages modified will again redefault. Besides being a highly ineffective program, it is an unfair program. It is yet another chapter in America, the Bailout Nation, as co-authored by the President and by Speaker Pelosi. It takes $50 billion from taxpayer or borrows the money from the Chinese to bail out banks that made bad loans and to bail out many who bought more home than they could afford, speculated in residential real estate, or used their home equity as an ATM machine. We must remember that 94% of Americans own their home outright. They rent or they're current on their mortgage, and they are being asked to bail out the other 6%. It's a policy that says to the citizens who work hard, who live within their means, who save for a rainy day, you are a sucker. When you're struggling to pay your own mortgage, you shouldn't be forced to pay your neighbors as well. The program's unfair to taxpayers. According to the Congressional Budget Office, General Accountability Office, they say that HAMP, the TARP $50 billion program, will lose 100% of the taxpayer investment. Although I curiously note under the majority memo for this hearing, under the subchapter entitled "Who Will Absorb Losses," curiously the word taxpayer is never mentioned. Finally, the program hurts our economy. It fails to recognize that the only effective foreclosure mitigation plan is a good job with a steady paycheck and a bright future. Unfortunately, under the policies of this administration and of this Congress, over 7 million of these jobs have now been lost. By creating an unpredictable artificial market, investment capital remains on the sidelines. Thus, HAMP is hampering economic recovery. Finally, as our nation drowns in a sea of debt, I think we could better use the $50 billion to put forth to a plan to pay down the debt and put the nation on the road to fiscal sanity. That would create jobs and thus have effective foreclosure mitigation for the nation. Yield back the balance of my time.
I will